We'll call this meeting to order. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public and board members, this meeting/hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless required by law. This meeting will be recorded by the local scene, formerly known as pac-tv. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so by viewing the Duxbury Government Access Channels, Verizon 39 or Comcast 9. Viewers can visit thelocalscene.media/Duxbury for information about Duxbury programming, including streaming and watching replays on Duxbury YouTube. I think that website is new, so I'll repeat that. It's thelocalscene.media/Duxbury. And our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on our agenda is open forum. Any of my colleagues, starting from the left, have anything to share?
No.
Okay, thank you, Cindy.
Yeah, I do want to have something to share. I'd just like to thank Duxbury Police Chief Mike Carbone for his prompt action. I actually came across the traffic congestion on Washington Street at the Duxbury Maritime School when parents are picking up or dropping off the children. So it was quite a. I understand now Emmett Sheehan's frustration. It was quite complicated, the congestion there. So he sent Officer Cam Daly to speak with the Duxbury Maritime staff, and they recognize that there is an issue, and hopefully they've resolved it, and we're in good shape now. But once again, just want to thank the police chief for his prompt action on addressing an issue.
Great.
Fernando.
Yeah, and for Emmett for bringing it to our attention originally.
Yep.
I just have one thing to share, which is the MBTA Communities Task Force will meet again tomorrow at 5:30 at the Senior Center. I'll provide this board with an update once I have it, and of course, all meetings are open to the public, so that's 5:30 tomorrow, Tuesday, at the Senior Center. Next on new business, we're about a minute early. This is a
Anybody in the audience have
Oh,
anything?
excuse me. Yes, thank you. Open forum. Anybody in the audience have anything to share with us? We can't engage in dialogue, but we can listen. All right. I thought that would burn a minute for us, but it didn't. Thank you. Oh, it did.
Look at that.
It did. It just turned. Excellent. Thank you, Cindy. So our first public hearing is a transfer of liquor license from Figley, Inc., DBA Jamie's Fine Wine and Spirits 3, to SMKP LLC, doing business as Tremont Fine Wine and Spirits. Do we have the applicant and/or her representative
You want me to
available?
open the public hearing for you, seeing how you're
Thank you. Yes.
working as clerk and,
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, excellent.
I move that Select Board open the public hearing regarding the transfer of license and pledge of collateral from Figley, Inc., DBA Jamie's Fine Wine and Spirits, the third. Manager Gina Pangioni to the new owner, SMKP LLC, DBA Tremont Fine Wine and Spirits, new manager Padmashri Patel.
Wait a second.
This takes a roll call vote.
Yeah, second.
So we have a second. We'll take a roll call, starting with Fernando.
Yeah, Fernando, aye.
Cindy, aye.
And Brian, aye. Let's see if there's anything else we need to read here. This is just for the audience. Jamie's Fine Wine and Spirits 3 is transferring their all kinds of alcoholic beverages retail packaged goods store license to Tremont Fine Wine and Spirits. After the Select Board's approval as the local licensing authority, it will be sent to the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission, that's a state authority, for their review and approval. So now we'll hear from the applicant. Attorney Levin.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Alan Levin. I'm here on behalf of SMKP LLC, doing business as Tremont Fine Wine and Spirits. I believe, although I'm not sure if she's here, but I think she's supposed to be on as Padmashri Patel, who is the new manager of the of SMKP LLC. I don't know if she's
I
here.
don't see her on our meeting.
Okay. She's supposed to be on. Do you mind if I just quickly give her a call to see if she's...
Sure. Would you like us to continue for about 15 minutes or so?
Sure, why don't we do that? Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want me to do something like?
as well, yeah,
I
we'll-
move to
Suspend, yeah?
suspend the public hearing, excuse me, and go back into the regular
Session, yeah, okay.
Okay, second,
Okay, roll call.
Fernando, aye.
Cindy, aye.
Brian, aye. Next, we have an update from our Veteran Service Officer, Sarah Lansing. Sarah, great to see you tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Nice to see you too. Good evening. Thank you, Honorable Board of Selectmen, Town Manager, and residents for giving me a couple minutes to provide an update on the Veteran Services Department. Per law, each municipality and city within the Commonwealth is required to have a Veteran Service Officer or VSO on staff for their residents, and I'm proud to be Duxbury's. I was hired in June of last year to take over the office, and what a productive year it has been. I submitted a detailed breakdown of the positive financial impact the Veterans Office has had on our residents this past year. I'm proud to have processed and submitted applications for various benefits, awarding $3,900 in one-time tax-free payments to our residents and over $150,000 in ongoing annual tax-free financial benefits. With the rising costs of living, the financial impact this has on our residents can be life-changing. I wanted to review a little bit of what the Veterans Office does. I act as a guide for the many, many benefits that are available for veterans. If a resident is a veteran and they have a need, they can reach out to the Veterans Office for assistance. This could include health care, financial aid, submitting a disability claim, housing needs, food insecurity, education, job placement, funeral planning or expenses, life insurance, etc. All residents have needs, and my office is here to help coordinate or guide any veteran with whatever their individual needs may be. This past year, I've had a veteran reach out with help replacing his septic system, and other residents looking to donate a car to a veterans organization. I've helped several residents obtain a grave marker for their loved one's grave, completed over 100 home visits, and have personally reached out to over 600 veterans or their families. Coordinating some of life's challenges can be overwhelming and difficult. Veterans can and should use the Veterans Office for guidance. I'm one of the few Veteran Service Officers in the state who is nationally accredited through the VA to represent veterans and their dependents with help filing VA claims. This means I've received additional training and certification to be able to help guide, process, and submit VA claims legally and ethically. This year, I intend to complete further training to enable my office to get a personal identity verification card, or PIV card. This will allow me to have direct access privileges to specific VA IT systems, enabling me to help develop more detailed claims with stronger evidence for our residents. VA disability claims take up a large part of my time in my office. Disability compensation provides monthly tax-free benefits to veterans in recognition of the effect of disabilities, diseases, or injuries incurred or aggravated because of their service. If awarded, the veteran may receive a tax-free monthly compensation. The VA also has a monthly compensation death benefits available for widows whose veteran has passed as a result of a connected disability, even if the veteran has never used the VA. The monthly compensation ranges from $173 to over $5,000 a month, depending on how severe a veteran's disability is. Being a service-connected disabled veteran also opens up more benefits from the healthcare side of the VA and can provide additional state and federal benefits. Last year, my office processed 62 claims, with just 12 decided so far, awarding $9,872.89 a month, or $118,474.68 a year of tax-free benefits to our residents. I seek out the veterans or widows who may be missing out on these important benefits. This year, with the help of the town clerk's office, I've implemented mailing a sympathy card to the next of kin of any Duxbury residents, veterans who have passed. I've also compiled all discharge records from the archives, entering them into a database and checking to ensure each record has received all the benefits available. Working with the assessor's office, I recently found 20 residents who are not receiving a state annuity benefit, which is $2,000 tax-free a year. Each resident was mailed a letter explaining the benefit and the application. If all 20 apply, this will put $40,000 into pockets of our residents. Last year, my office processed 8 annuity applications, awarding $16,000 of tax-free yearly benefits to them. Also this year, the Veterans Office was moved to a larger space on the second floor of the Senior Center. I'd like to thank Joanne for offering the space to me. Most of my appointments deal with sensitive, confidential information, and having a comfortable space is very important. The office is a safe space for help during veterans or their families' life crisis. And working with the Senior Center this last year, we also helped to implement the Veterans Tax Work-Off Program, coinciding with the Senior Tax Work-Off Program. These invaluable programs allow residents to volunteer to work in a town department to earn credits off their property tax. We had 7 veterans out of the 26 slots for the Tax Work-Off Program this year. I screen all of my appointments for any aid on the federal, state, and local levels. My SHINE certification, which is serving the health insurance needs of everyone, is invaluable on staying up to date on state public benefits and the confusing Medicare system. In March, the Medicare Savings Program removed its asset limit, allowing me to help process 8 applications awarding $16,771.20 in Med B premium savings to our residents. I recommend that all veterans and widows come see me for a quick benefit screening. As veterans, we earn these benefits, and like the state annuity or the Medicare Savings Program, there are many unknown benefits available that residents may be missing out on. Word of mouth certainly has a huge impact on the Veterans Office. Education about benefits, coffee hours, and veterans events are filling up my calendar for this upcoming year to keep our residents updated on anything they may be entitled to. It has been a very busy, exciting year in the Veterans Office. Duxbury has a large population of veterans. 1,033 are listed on census.gov. As a combat veteran myself, I continue to learn and grow and dig into this job. I am passionate about finding those veterans and widows who may be missing out on some of these benefits, and ensuring that they know that they can call the Veterans Office if they are in need. I currently serve on the executive board for the Massachusetts Veteran Service Officers Association, the executive board for the Duxbury American Legion, and I've been recently invited to serve on the Governor's Advisory Council for Women Veterans. I'm proud of the strides the Veterans Office has made this past year, and I'm eager to keep growing. This is just a small glimpse into the many things that the Veterans Office does. Thank you for giving me some time tonight for an annual update. I welcome questions, and there is an open invitation to visit the Veterans Office at any time for more information. It's a very nice office on the second floor of the Senior Center. I sincerely appreciate the time to give you an overview of my first year in office. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Any questions?
Just a comment. Your energy, your enthusiasm, and the way you rolled up your sleeves and got after this job and this role and the support that you're providing is outstanding. And I'm glad you're sharing it with us today. And another form of advertising. So hopefully, veterans who are not aware of what the services you provide and support, hopefully they'll reach out to you.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So congratulations.
Oh, no, just again, the same as Fernando, congratulations and thank you so much. I had a brother who was on 100% disability, and it was not easy. It was not easy, and I wish you had been there for him.
Yeah, it's not an easy process, and so
Yeah.
if you know anybody or need to send anyone to me, please do. I'm happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
I've got another.
Please,
to you,
go right
Brian.
ahead.
I'm just looking at your highlight. Again, very detailed and great information you provided. So basically, what I understand here, I just want to follow up. You've submitted 62 claims.
Yes.
But you've only been able to get 12 decided, and there's 50 outstanding.
Yes.
Is that how long it takes?
The VA, the average time for the VA to make a decision on a claim in April 2024 was 155 days.
155 days. Wow.
Some of them take longer. They pull all the veterans' records. It's the first thing they do, so sometimes that can take a while.
Right.
Sometimes they require more information with the claim. Hopefully, we'll get good decisions on these 62 and get some more money into people's pockets.
Well, I'm sure you'll be chasing after them without doubt.
a lot of digging, don't get
I'm
it.
sure you'll get there.
I hope
Thank you.
so. Yep.
Sarah, thank you very much. I'm glad you mentioned your involvement with the state, at the state level as well.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to have a tremendous senior center and senior center staff. I don't know that folks are aware that we likewise have a tremendous veteran service officer right here in town, and somebody who's sought after across the state. So even though we kind of tuck you away in the senior center.
In a really nice office.
Really
You
nice
know,
office.
when she
Really-
said
it's a
larger,
really
that
nice
implies the old one was large. I would say probably less small. But it's terrific, and thanks to the Senior Center for accommodating that, because there, as we know, there's a huge need. And one thing I wanted to ask you about, Sarah, is on the state level, there's the HERO Act that's pending before the legislature, which would expand benefits
Yes.
at the state level. So this isn't a national thing, this is state. Are you able to share anything about that, or how it would affect your duties? Because I know you don't sleep as it is, but I'm curious to know if you're forecasting how much more you would have to do, or things that you'd be able to help residents with if the HERO Act passes and signed by the governor.
I think that the majority of the things that are passing in the HERO Act change benefits that are already there. For
Okay.
example, that annuity benefit, it increases is up to $2,500 a year instead of just that $2,000. So it, and I'm pretty sure that it was finally signed into legislation. So I'm waiting for guidance from the state to see how we're going to implement all of the amazing things that are in the HERO Act. I really liked, I know there was talk about making a woman veteran's license plate decal, which for me would be nice, and all other women veterans out there, so I don't have to say, no, it wasn't my husband. There's quite a few things in there that I'm looking forward to.
Right, and I think expands the definition of who a veteran is.
Who a veteran is, and
I know
so-
that's been sort of you would think it'd be obvious, but given different National Guard enlistments and the reserves and that sort of thing, active duty, reserve duty, it's not exactly a clear line. So folks who are entitled, or may be entitled to additional benefits, or benefits at all, that pool might increase.
It should definitely increase, especially that Chapter 115 program, which is a low-income program the state runs. It seems opening it up to people that serve just in the National Guard or Reserves will certainly open up more financial benefits that residents really do need, and hopefully we can get some more people on that benefit or more awareness about it. It's on my list to increase the awareness about that Chapter 115 in Duxbury this upcoming year.
I appreciate that, and you also mentioned the tax work-off program for veterans as well. So we know historically that's been available to seniors, but now we have availability, a certain number of seats anyway, for veterans of any age.
Any age, which is
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we're very lucky to have a great program in Duxbury where lots of departments in town get phenomenal help.
They really do. I was
yeah.
talking to Matt Files, who got a veteran in his classroom at the school, and he was just over the moon at how knowledgeable and wonderful it was to have such a educated gentleman in his classroom to help.
Great. Before I let you go, any questions from the audience? Yes, Frank, please. Yeah, go right ahead.
My name is Frank Holden, Powder Point. I worked for the VA organization for about 30 years and retired some time ago. And for the folks that work inside the VA as physicians and administrators, the veteran service organizations at the town level are the primary point of access to the VA system. They know more about how to use the benefits of the VA system than anybody who works in it. Believe me. So this is a great presentation, and we should make sure the other veterans in the town that you might know of are aware of the services that are available through the veteran service organizations. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Frank.
That's a good segue, Sarah, because I was going to ask you, for those who are watching or maybe watching online later, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is email or stopping in the Veterans Office.
Okay.
And my email is slansing, all lowercase, like the capital of Michigan, at duxbury-ma.gov.
And you also have an open invitation on Thursdays for lunch, I think,
Yeah,
right?
on Thursdays, every Thursday at the senior center, I have lunch down in the cafe, so anyone's more than welcome to come have lunch with me, veterans, non-veterans. It's a great place to eat for a really affordable price. You can't beat it. The soups are phenomenal, and I highly recommend. You can even go in and get things to go. So use the senior center cafe. It's delicious.
Well, thanks for what you do, Sarah. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thanks for your
Thank you
presentation.
very much.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
I think I see
I
our
see, yeah.
applicant
Yep.
and Attorney Levin. Are we ready to move forward?
We are.
Okay.
Okay.
Is
All
the
right.
board
So how
prepared?
about I move that the select board reopens the public hearing?
Second,
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Fernando, aye.
Cindy, aye.
Brian, aye. All right. Attorney Levin, floor is yours.
Again, thank you, and thank you for accommodating this. Apparently, they were on, but not on as a panelist, so had to get them on. Again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Alan Levin. I'm here on behalf of SMKP LLC, DBA Tremont Fine Wine and Spirits, and I'm here with the manager of that corporation, Padmashri Patel. We're here for the transfer of a liquor license from Figley Incorporated, doing business as Jamie's Fine Wine and Spirits, which has been operating a liquor store at that location for many years. My clients have purchased the business pending approval of the transfer. Just for your own edification, Ms. Patel is a United States citizen, and she's a resident of Westwood, Massachusetts. She has been involved in the food and beverage industry now for over 8 years. She is familiar with the rules and regulations for the ABCC in the town of Duxbury. And she's here to answer any of your questions if you have any.
Any questions from the board?
I just have one, because I didn't look it up and I can't figure it out.
Okay.
Where 1500 Tremont Street is that down in Cox's Corner, or is that up at Bennett's?
I believe it's Cox Corner.
Coxon
Yeah.
is where, yes,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
yeah, next to the Duxbury Clipper.
Yeah, across the street. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Tremont Street? I guess it is. It turns into Enterprise or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have the right neighborhood.
All right, got it. All right, thank you.
Just
That
a-
was it. It looks pretty, complete to me, the application.
Yeah. Just a quick question. This is a transfer of license. I'm just interested, why does it actually describe the building itself? It says a 3-story building, first floor to be licensed, 3 rooms, 2 bathrooms, 1 entrance, 1 exit. I just, why,
Pro forma.
is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
ABCC rules, okay. All right.
Um,
I have no questions.
Okay. Any other questions? I do have a couple. We have a fairly lengthy packet that was submitted to us. Thank you for all the documentation. One of the documents is a copy of the P&S. And the question and why I raise it is because P&S is between the seller, but Ms. Patel individually. It doesn't appear that there's a connection with the LLC, unless there may have been an assignment or a nomination. I presume that's
I
happened.
believe there
but-
was an assignment.
Okay. Want to make sure we're not leaving
Yeah.
somebody
It does
off here.
name it as its nominee, and I believe that she had entered into it. It was assigned ultimately to the corporation, which hadn't been.
Okay,
yet.
yeah, it looked like one of the exhibits was contemplating an assignment at some point, but I didn't see that coming through. So as long as you're representing that to us, it's satisfactory to me. One question I have for the applicant herself, and I don't believe she was involved, but I'd be curious to get more information. As I look through the application, I see that she has an interest in Peter's Market in Medfield. And I'm informed that Peter's Market in Medfield was a subject of a fairly lengthy liquor license suspension at the local level about 10 or 11 years ago. I think I heard you say that your client's only been involved for about 8 years. But because that is kind of a severe issue that I just found by Googling the name. I'd be curious if she knows anything about it, and if so, what's different in terms of management?
Bud Marshall, do you have any information?
Yes, I do that because after we have that store, we don't, because it's in Milford, and after I run this 8 years, I don't see anything seen like that.
Okay.
Do you know what was the original reason for the?
I don't know. I don't know.
I just found a news
Mr.
report,
Gordon.
and it said the Select Board of Medfield had voted a 30-day suspension for multiple violations of the liquor license. I'm not aware that your client was involved with the enterprise, but I did see in her application tonight that she's associated with the business. So maybe that was at a different time. I just want clarification on that.
She's only been involved in any
Milford.
business for the last 8.5 years, so.
No, actually, the store is in Milford, not in Medfield. So the Peters Market is in Milford, not Medfield. It's a different town.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's scroll through. Bear with me for just a second. Okay, so Peters Market in Milford.
Yes, in Milford.
Okay. So that was not the subject of a license suspension?
No,
Okay.
no
excellent.
violation. No.
Good.
No.
That's what I want to hear. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we're
I see
Yes,
that.
license.
I figured you would be all over the details of it, so thank you. My apologies for running late here. Are we ready for a vote?
Well, we haven't asked for public input yet.
Ah, great. Does the public have any input on this? All right, there being none, I'm happy to take a vote.
Okay.
You want
Let's
to
see
do the
here.
motion?
Let me move that. I move the Select Board acting as the local licensing authority approve the transfer of the license and pledge of collateral from Figley, Inc., DBA Jamie's Fine Wine and Spirits 3, manager Gina Pangioni, to the new owner, SMKP LLC, DBA Tremont Fine Wine and Spirits, new manager, Padma Shiri Patel, for the premises located at 1500 Tremont Street and subject to the requirements of the Town of Duxbury and the ABCC, also known as the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission. That's a roll call vote.
Second,
Any further discussion? May I have a roll call vote?
Fernando, aye.
Brian, aye.
Michael, aye.
Cindy, aye.
Okay, I will move that the Select Board close the public hearing.
Second,
Roll call vote.
Fernando, aye.
Brian, aye.
Michael, aye.
Cindy, aye.
Great.
Great, thank you very much.
you.
Good luck.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Next on the agenda, we have an update from our Veteran Service Officer.
Alternative Energy Committee.
Oh,
We skipped.
we skipped.
Yep.
Yep.
Ah, she was here. An update from the Alternative Energy Committee, and Mr. Wendell Cern will be presenting. Ah, you're up there.
I'm not even have to follow Sarah because that would be like following Simone Biles on the floor exercise. Right, geez,
Good analogy.
It's beyond belief. Just want to point out that we have a member of our committee, Glenn
If you
Carl.
could just wait 1 second, we can't hear you too well. There we go.
It's pretty loud here, so sorry about that. We'll just.
Want to mention Glenn Carl, member of the committee, is here, and online we have Deborah Donovan. I believe she's still there probably.
She's there.
She's there.
So the purpose of this appearance is to let you know where we stand on two things. Green municipal aggregation, still in the process. Give you an update on that. And the second thing is how things are going with the climate action plan And a little subset of that is, what are we doing with our greenhouse gas emissions inventory? So, I'll first turn my attention to the green municipal aggregation. Do you have the document that I gave you that
Yes.
lists all of the rates of our broker,
Yes.
Colonial Power? Do you think we need to kind of give a little deep background here as to what's happening with, or are we good with?
What I was going to ask you is
Yeah.
simply, where do we stand today? Because we did have a very long conversation. We gave you the thumbs up to go
Right.
forward. Where do we stand today?
Okay, so now our petition was submitted to the Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities. That's where it sits. Okay, and most recently, July 26th, there was a hearing, which was pretty much pro forma. We have so far done everything that was required. Sign a contract with the broker, and we all decided we do municipal aggregation, sign a contract with Colonial Power. They created a plan. We looked at that. That got posted, community comments on that. Then it goes to the DPU, sits there, and there have been a series of hearings, which I have to say have all been pro forma, except for the first one. Basically, it was their lawyers saying, we're available to you, and if you have any questions. So as it stands right now, based upon the information I have, everything looks good with our petition, and there may be a turnaround of as little as 120 days from July 26 that they would say, we approve your plan, go ahead. So that's where we are on that. Now, as far as the specifics of the plan, that is a role that the AEC is taking on. That is to take a look at all of these rates. By the way, that list you have are all the rates of the 73 communities, and there are more communities in their queue, by the way, but these are the 73 communities currently served by them. And I show you all the rates. Pretty interesting reading. But at the top of the spreadsheet, the list, I gave the current rate for Massachusetts, or for Duxbury rather, which is 0.1725 cents. And did I say that correctly? In any case, of the 73 communities, and I think at the end of the document I summarize this, 100% of the communities that are enrolled have rates lower than that. And that even includes communities that have 100% renewables. About half of those communities that offer this option of 100% renewables still have a lower rate than what we're currently paying to Eversource. So what the AEC is planning on doing, what we are going to do, we have a working meeting that we'll be doing this month, is take a look at all these rate structures and look at what could be possible, what do we intend, and we're also interested in doing a more granular look at some of these communities, contacting them, finding, for example, okay, you may offer this as rate, but what's your percentage of participation? Because I think that's really important also. So do that granularly so that when the decision comes down from DPU, we already have something in place that we can then go to Colonial Power and say, this is what we would like to have for Duxbury. Go out, see what you can do to purchase the energy production for us. Then we come back to you and say, this is what it looks like we can get. Then we have a rollout period until there is community input, and then there is a decision, a vote, yes or no, to do that plan. So does that seem pretty clear to you?
Yeah, so we're kind of still, we're on track.
Yeah.
We're in a waiting period here
Yep.
and anticipate about 120 days from July 26th, you said?
Yeah, from July 26th. Okay. And so this is good news in the sense that in the past, this approval process with DPU sometimes took more than 2 years, you know, and so it's more streamlined now. So I think that's good. And then just to let you know, we'd be 100% transparency in all of this. Everybody will have a chance to weigh in on this. So, so I think we're off. I think we're doing well.
How can we help you as we approach that 120 days, simply get you back on the agenda, or?
Right, I think that would be best. I say, okay, and probably at the point that we get, I would say, get the approval, Colonial Power comes in as they have in the meeting with us, and then we present that.
Get our marching orders.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I have one question.
Go right ahead.
Wendell, the ones that say all,
Yes.
are those ones that are all green
No,
energy? No.
okay, what that means is that that's the only thing they
The only
offer.
standard
There are some communities who have decided to do the municipal aggregation, which you've been allowed to do in the state since 1997, for savings,
Yep.
which is fine.
Yep.
They are required, however, to do to have a certain percentage of renewables. What they're essentially doing is having the same plan that Eversource offers, that percentage of renewables, but they're negotiating with the power of having a large number of people negotiating a rate.
Okay.
So that all means that.
Okay.
Okay.
Ones that say
Were there any-
optional green are the ones,
Right. And I think I tried to be specific as to what were the different options and what percentage of renewables are in that mix. So that's on this chart. I would say when it comes time to have more community outreach on this, that we'd have this available to everyone so they could take a look at that. And
Yeah.
so,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Not to bore down on the details, but I thought Plymouth had municipal aggregation, at
They
least
do.
offered that as an option.
it's right here.
yeah, they
No, it
do.
says, but all, so.
Well,
Oh.
that's interesting. You know what I did? That's what I understood also. However, when I went to their website and then when I went to Colonial Power's website, and you can go to Colonial Power's website and look at my communities. So when I went to Plymouth and I went to, I found this rate, it wasn't 100%. So I don't know if it's going to be in effect later, but at the moment, from what I could see,
Okay,
that's what I represented, the best data that I have.
okay. Well, here's some time, so.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's interesting. Okay.
I do have one question, actually. On the rates, I know they're all over the place, but they're all lower than
Yes.
standard supply. There's a number of them that have wind RECs. I presume those are renewable energy credits?
Yes, renewable energy credits.
So
exactly.
when consumers are selecting one of the rates with a component of RECs, is the user, the customer, getting those credits to be able to apply themselves? I wonder, in other words, are they purchasing credits for that higher rate? I'm just curious, because as I'm looking at this, it seems that there's an additional charge with the RECs, and I would assume that bestows some sort of benefit on the
Right.
customer.
What I think it relates to the fact is that in some cases, renewables are, at the present moment, maybe more expensive.
Right.
And that affects the rate.
Okay.
The reason why, I'm glad you brought this up, the reason why you would include a higher percentage of renewables in the mix in the first place is essentially to give people the option to say, you know what, we need to invest more in alternative energy. And how do you do that? By increasing the number of these renewable energy credits. And therefore prompting the industry said, okay, there's more demand, we're going to be creating more opportunity. Does that answer your question at all?
I think so. Well, there's a lot of detail that I'm sure we'll get into at some point, so it's
Right.
not, it's not critical. It's just something that I noticed as we're going through it tonight. Thank you.
But I'm glad you have that degree of attention, because there are many ways to go on renewable. You could go wind, national wind, or all New England, just New England renewable energy production sources. So those are all the things that the Alternative Energy Committee will be looking at. So,
Thanks to you and the committee for all your hard work.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
all right, so that is that. And now the climate action plans. So if you recall, in 2022, the town meeting approved the creation of a climate action plan task force, and they ran into some
issues, so that motion or warrant was rescinded, and the AEC took upon itself the responsibility to create a climate action plan. And to that end, members of the committee have reviewed climate action plans from all over the state. And so that next document that you have there is, it's a summarization of the summaries. All right, so everyone who did a review had a series of questions to probe the climate action plans, make those observations, and then we collected all of those. And so there are conclusions, which I hope are that they show up at the end of your document, of that document also,
Yeah.
the conclusions. Yep. So, should I read these?
There's not too,
Findings?
that is totally fine. I think conclusions is a good place to start.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can read them.
Yeah,
in
so these
summary.
are observations after looking at all of them. Successful creation of a climate action plan best achieved by a group that includes town officials who can give official support to the plan. Volunteers may contribute important work. So we observed that. In some cases, there were, like Boston, as you might expect, they had 100 staff working on this. In other cases, there were particular individuals who had a role, an actual role within the town to work on sustainability and resiliency issues, and they were the ones in charge. And in some cases, they actually they hired consultants to create the climate action plans. But another conclusion: climate action plans created by communities which are determined to do something about climate change by taking positive steps to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. So in every case, there was a declaration of intent. So we recognize it's a serious issue, and we're going to take specific steps. There are many state, regional, and federal research which may be consulted, including some neighboring communities who already created climate action plans. A first step is to calculate a community's current greenhouse gas emissions. More on that in just a second. That's already been done, by the way, once. We're updating that. Communities then review what, if any, climate change mitigation actions have been taken, and in this community, things have been done. We have there was a whole energy savings plan that was put in effect 2017, I believe. So things have been done. And we made resolutions on a number of things. So you take a look at that. Then community outreach is important to the successful adoption of a climate action plan. It's not going to happen, unless you get community input. So that'll be part of the process. Many climate action plans already adopted. These can be used to help decide what should be included in a plan and how it can be presented to the public. Plan must include well-defined goals as well as timelines, and a plan has to allow for updating and modifying. So those are things that we concluded. So the amount of work that will be involved in creating this climate action plan will be great, but we're started. And let me just talk about the greenhouse gas emissions survey inventory that we're doing right now, and then at the end I'll have a kind of a request or maybe a plea for help on some issues. So for the greenhouse gas emissions survey, we use a tool produced by the Metropolitan Area Planning Council that allows us to take a look at 3 areas, and stationary, that is essentially energy consumption in buildings. There's transportation, that's the second one, and then third is waste management. So there are a lot of data points out there. So here's where the plea is actually going to come in ahead of time. I would request that the department heads in town be asked to help us if we make a request about, for example, energy consumption in the schools. And not to say that hasn't already been done, but to continue that so that we can get this inventory done correctly. So so we're in the process of updating it, and let me just point out some interesting things. There's, as far as you can find a lot of information. There's a Massachusetts vehicle census, so you can look at every single community and take a look at, just for tonight, purpose of tonight, and showing the example of that, is what percentage of vehicles that are owned in town, in various towns, use various forms of energy. Okay, so as of January 2024, Duxbury, 93.8% of our vehicles, commercial and private, are fossil fuel. Hybrid, 3.9%, and electric, 2.3%. So that comes right out of the state data, which is amazing. And so now you look at it and say, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, then you can take a look at a community like Hingham. All right, so we had 93.8% fossil fuel. They have 91.8. Hybrids 4.6, 3.9 for us, 3.6 electric, 2.3. Said, okay, well, how do you account for that? Is that significant or not? Then you go to a town like Lexington and say, okay, now we were 93.8 fossil fuel, they're 82.6.
Wow.
And 8.7 hybrid and about 9% electric. So something's going on, by looking at ours and then comparing it with other communities, say, well, what's going on there? Just that.
Can you do that? I mean, can you follow up with that and figure out how many charging stations they have per population?
Well, you know what? I think that's a really good point, because by doing this inventory, these things start to bubble up and say, what are these differences? So let's probe, because now we can say, okay, now when you get to the climate action plan saying, well, what can we improve? And say, well, one thing we need to do is to increase the number of charging stations, and then not to say that it will cause it right away, cause that change right away, but it's so that would be, so that's where we're at on these 2 points, and the greenhouse gas emissions inventory. So
Do any board members have questions about that issue?
Just one more question. Sure. When you were asking for help, is that you'd like a letter to town department heads from, like, town manager's office saying you may hear from the Alternative Energy Committee?
Something as simple as that. I have to say that
Or email?
I've been when I'm able to reach out to departments, I think I know they have the data that they have. And, for example, we have a new facilities director. And
right.
So right away, as soon as I was able to get a hold of her, she said, okay, let me see what we can get as far as information. But
Okay.
Wendell, we've done a previous greenhouse
yes,
survey, correct, right?
yes.
So like every other request is how much time are you asking for, right? So
It's not really, it really isn't much. It would say, let's imagine, okay, in our public safety sector, and so we had a commitment, town had a commitment to purchase a certain percentage of hybrid vehicles.
Right.
Okay, so it's easy. How many hybrid vehicles do you have? That's, something simple as that.
So really, it shouldn't be too much.
No.
Everybody's busy, right?
That is correct.
I'm just trying to understand the level of...
No.
Okay.
No.
Cool.
Bigger aspect here, you talked about how other towns and cities devoted a lot of town resources towards creating their plan. Is there my first question here is there an ask from your committee for the town to devote staff to assist you with this climate action plan at this point?
Well, I would say the discussion has come up, and I don't think it's only within our committee, but it's in some other committees also, that they look at the town and say, it would be great if we had somebody who was really looking at sustainability and resilience. And by the way, I do believe that whatever climate action plan that we come up with, I think that it could and should include the resiliency, it's a common issue.
Correct.
So, as I said, there are two members of our committee, I think, who are here, and I'd be happy to hear what they have to say on that and discussions we had.
Yeah, and my other comment, and maybe just a thought, is we're obviously not as big as a city and have those kind of resources. Has anything been discussed or have you read anything about a regional group that can work on similar plans and, like a regional task force, so to speak, where we all have a lot of similar interests, especially with our coastline? Has there been any of that to pool resources?
Yes, there has been discussion, and we've been in contact with the Oak Colony Planning Council, and we have heard recently from the person who is newly in the position of doing sustainability, and that was an idea that we've floated in our discussion. Can we do this regionally? Why couldn't we? And as you said, there is actually grant money available from the state. They really like to do the regional planning.
Right.
So that's something we should it's something that we should pursue.
Right.
So either from the Old Colony Planning Council or MAPC that should happen. I mean, yeah.
I mean, some of our regional
Wendell,
towns
could I
already
jump
have
in?
plans.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, this is, yeah.
Excuse me. Just to add on to this is Deborah Donovan, I'm a member of the committee. And just to add on to what Wendell's saying, I think that the initial start of, say, putting together a regional application for funding would be that we would want to have the town be very actively involved and putting staff resources, hopefully, into the process of writing the grant. That is something that's the AEC is very excited to support, but probably it would have a much greater chance of success if the application were coming from the town itself.
Not to volunteer, is that something that can be prepared by your committee and run by our planner and by our town manager, so to speak? Or is that something
We don't have a planner.
well, our interim planner?
Next week is his last week.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know.
So it just,
At some point.
as an aside, I
Right.
mean, we're, as part of the sustainability budget, sustainable budget task force, we're getting to the point whereby, we're putting together a list of, shall we say, nice to haves or must haves, right? And trying to understand the financial implications
Right.
of adding staff to support these efforts. And as you know, we have reached the point where our revenues, our expenses exceed our revenues. So we're having
But
that
I think,
conversation.
yeah, there's a serious conversation about having an assistant planner slash,
Yep. Grant writer. Yep.
well, no, sort of a conservation.
Oh, yeah, that's all that
And,
part of it. Yes, exactly.
And I guess for the purpose of this conversation, if there's a goal that your committee has as far as preparing this grant, we have an interim planner for a week. We have a town manager. It can become difficult to pull together a grant application. If we can be of assistance, please let us know, but if there's a way to kind of tee it up, that would certainly be helpful.
All right, so after meeting with you, I would say that we will do this. Number one, continue to work with the OCPC to see what resources they have for us.
Yes.
See the possibility of a regional plan, but no matter what, we're going to, the AEC is one way or another. It already said that it would, and no matter what the obstacles are, we're going to work on this, create a climate action plan to present before you, and hopefully within the year. That's the hope.
Great.
But great suggestions, and appreciate your interest.
Vic,
No,
more
thank you for
Yeah,
your
you're the
work
workhorses.
and Deborah and everybody else in the committee. This is fantastic. So,
No,
yeah,
it's just something that needs to be done. That's it.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Any members of the public have anything to say?
This is Deborah again. May I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just circling back to an earlier question about what happens to the renewable energy certificates that are purchased on behalf of the town that has done a community aggregation with either setting their own green target to match the state requirement or to go above and beyond that. Those certificates are purchased on behalf of the municipality, and then they are retired and basically taken out of circulation. So that is the way that a commitment from a town would either comply with the renewable portfolio standard, which is the floor, or to go above and beyond that, which is the optional choices that many of the municipalities that have done community aggregation have gone with, to make sure that we're creating, as Wendell said, creating demand, increased demand for renewable energy certificates. And I will say that that is really moving the needle for the market for renewable energy in the state. And so we'll be joining many other cities and towns in moving that needle.
Fantastic. Thank
That's
you.
great. Thank you all. Oh, I apologize.
It's okay.
If you could just state your name and...
So I'm Becky Coletta, and I live in Pembroke, but and I was here observing, but I'm also the president of the Old Colony Planning Council. So I wanted to just say briefly that one of the things that we find with the Old Colony Planning Council is that we have money for local technical assistance that comes from the state, but it's sort of a limited pot of money. There was more money allocated this year than the year before. But part of what we need from the towns is to prioritize which of the projects we can help with. Joanne has been helping with the age-friendly communities project. But as we go forward, it's partly asking you guys with the town manager and the planner that you're going to hire soon, I'm sure, is to prioritize which of the projects you want Old Colony Planning Council to help with, because we have so much staff, so much money, and we can only divide it so many ways.
Okay.
And we're trying to make sure that each town, there are 17 communities in the Old Colony Planning Council, and it's trying to make sure that each town gets some share of that money for the projects that they prioritize. So when we think Old Colony Planning Council can do it, yes, they can, and we do bring in resources to do these things, but it also requires some amount of decision-making from the town on which of the priorities that you want Old Colony Planning Council to help on from year to year. And the other thing that we have been tossing around and hoping that there will be a little bit more regional work on is the issue of grant writing. We now have a grant specialist that Old Colony Planning Council hired this past year, who's starting to help towns identify grant projects. But again, there's only so much money and time to go around. So Paul Umano is our grant specialist, and he can be consulted with on grant projects. But we've also tossed around the question as to whether towns would like to participate through some partial funding of another
Right.
position that would be some sort of shared position. I know Plymouth County had talked about this when I was on the Plymouth County Advisory Board. And so it's one of those things that we recently had some email chains going around between Plymouth County and Old Colony Planning Council, and about getting together with town managers and town administrators in the various towns to talk about what kind of regional projects we could take on that either Plymouth County does or Old Colony Planning Council, but what the towns could participate in.
Right.
Right, because we're only so many people. I'm a volunteer on Old Colony Planning Council as the delegate from Pembroke, but as the president, get a little more involved in this. And I just am saying there are resources out there. Working on sustainability, climate projects is part of what we're interested in, but it really does take a question of prioritizing that money from the town.
Great.
All right?
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Becky.
the context. That's good to hear, actually. Very informative. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Wendell.
All your hard
there,
work.
there was the status of the EV charging station grant proposal that was on the agenda.
Is it?
I read it there. I don't
I-
remember before.
If we can, I'm seeing a shaking of the head, so I'm not going to force them, put them on the
So,
spot.
okay,
I think that's,
That's on the agenda?
that was on the agenda.
Oh, it's something
Well,
I,
no, it's a separate, it's a list that we get. I don't think it's on the official agenda, though.
It's
it wasn't
there.
on the,
It's where
But
Mr.
that's for
Stern
us.
will discuss the following, 4. Okay, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, all right.
You're right.
you're fine.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you again. And we can look forward to seeing you
I
in
don't see that.
120
Oh, I
days.
see it. No, I
Maybe
don't see it.
sooner.
Yep.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Age and Dementia Friendly Task Force Livable Duxbury Plan update and Select Board adoption. We had a discussion on July 15th with Mr. Mullins, the chair of that committee, task force, and we were at essentially a voting stage. A couple of us want to take a step back and review some materials, and I just wanted, we're all here again for another long meeting. So in the interest of time, I'm happy to go down the board. Is anybody have some additional questions? Because it was a pretty thoughtful and thorough conversation the last time.
Right. Unfortunately, Amy's not here.
She had some questions.
She definitely had some questions with regards to the housing element of that. I think she was supportive of transportation or all the other elements, but
Correct.
there's the housing and that issue, that perennial issue of, basically, we all like Duxbury because it's kind of has that rural and historic feel about it. And this plan here talks about increasing housing, and so I'm supportive of it, but Amy's not here, and she had the questions, and I think that was the drive for the team to come back and chat about this.
But
and-
she was
and answer
fine with
questions.
them to come back with not her here. I mean, she was fine
she
with
was
that,
okay?
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I did have a question about, are you done? I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to make sure that Amy's voice was heard, right?
Right.
She had the comments around housing.
Right.
And she's not here, but if she's fine with carrying on the discussion without her being present, I'm okay with that.
I just said, because I was really interested in the concept of converting single-family homes to multiple family dwellings. I lived in Snug Harbor growing up next to the house on the corner of Washington and Harrison Street. And the people on the other side of me, their grandmother lived there and, always going back and forth. And it was an amazing, wonderful setup. And, what is the likelihood of that? You see it happening in other towns, big houses being, broken up into condos or apartments or stuff.
Yeah, I think what we're really asking for is you're okay for us to move forward on getting information exactly on questions like that.
Okay?
Like we set up 4 domain teams that would go after those 8 housing issues, and they're going to get more detail. We're not saying, hey, we should do this, we should do that.
Okay.
But we want to put the resources again to get as much information as possible. So Cindy, part of a group of the housing group that Kathy's the head of is going to look at that and look at how do we replicate that, what's feasible, what's not. And like housing's complex. There are a lot of tentacles. And, we have to work with the MBTA communities. We have to work with the Hall's Corner Plan. We have to work with the Affordable Housing Trust. So I think it's really what we're asking you to approve and to adopt is us to move forward with those 52 recommendations and to come back to you with more detailed information on what is possible,
Yep.
what are the barriers, what are the objectives, and that. And that's
Perfect.
really what we'd like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the second part is we have 4 more domains, and we're going to work on the next 4 domains and come back to you at the end of a year and say, okay, in these other 4 domains, here are another 52 recommendations.
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
No, I think that's great. I'm all in favor.
Yeah.
No more questions.
No more questions. And I completely agree with the need. I mean, here's folks that have raised their families in this community. They're trying to stay here. It may be cost, but it may just be what makes sense to have a house downsized to a different type of home. And you see surrounding communities that have been doing it. But I also understand Amy's concerns with dense housing, the zoning that's been in place for a number of years, and that balance. And it sounds like your group is willing to tackle those challenges and give us more information on it as we go forward. But really appreciate all the hard work that's been put in, and
And we come back twice, every 6 months. On one of the slides, I put down 4 objectives of our task force, and I think it's to do that. It's to come back and say, hey, there are multiple needs, and how do we balance out those multiple needs and present to you, a reasonable situation, and then we have to make some decisions.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I will point out, Mr. Chairman, that as to housing and other issues, the tasks or the specific areas that the task force is going to look into is wholly consistent with the comprehensive plan that the town spent a lot of time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears putting into. So one of this board's goals has been to implement the comprehensive plan.
Yep.
And this is one great opportunity for us to do that with an army of very talented volunteers. So I thank you very much, and I'm excited to endorse your recommendations.
A lot of the leaders are here tonight, and Joanne Zygmunt from Old Colony Planning Council is on, and she guided us through this whole process too.
Yep.
Good job, thank you.
Thank you. I'm ready to vote.
Yep.
All right, I will take a motion.
All right. So, get the right page. I move that the Select Board approve and adopt the Livable Duxbury Action Plan proposed by the Age and Dementia Friendly Task Force as presented.
Second.
Oh,
Sorry.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much
Great,
for all
thank
your
you.
hard
Thanks,
work.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Can I make one comment about us going through this process? It came up in Wendell's talk. We were so encouraged by the responsiveness of the town employees. One of the handouts that you have is the number of people from the town that we interviewed. And I think when we interviewed them, we really are asking them for 3 things. Joanne Zygmunt led the interview and had maybe 20 questions for them, right? But basically it was, what do you think we should do in this area? What about these sacred cows? And what are third rail issues? And so we got so much feedback from the town that helped shape a lot of these issues. And 3 town employees are on our domains. Nancy, Jeannie Horn, and I think Lori White from IT are in our domains too. So they have their regular jobs, and they're going to do this all as volunteers. So it was really encouraging to have that type of a response, and for those people to come back.
Thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for all your hard work.
Thank you.
your final question. I noticed that Tag Carpenter is on the from the planning board is there, and I presume a lot of this will require changes in zoning. Our zoning is pretty restrictive, and so I'm just wondering if Tag is on board with this, or shall we say, as representing the planning board, are supportive of this as well.
Yeah, thank you, Fernando. Certainly, one of my roles on the planning board is a liaison to the Affordable Housing Trust, so I'm connected to the activities taking place there, and they're currently reviewing a proposal for fixing the inclusionary zoning bylaw, which is something that's mentioned in this report. So there are a number of touch points and connections between the various efforts, and I'm doing the best I can really to be between those things and make sure that those connections are made and any coordination that needs to take place is being done.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Tag.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Now we have a discussion regarding beach ops declaring a vehicle as surplus. And I think we can just read this. Let me pull it up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
All right.
I'm surprised that 2004 pickup has any surplus value at all.
Well, yes.
Been on the beach now quite a few years, but anyway.
For the public's knowledge, the Recreation Department and Beach Operations is requesting that the Select Board declare as surplus the following item: a 2013 Ford F-150 pickup. This vehicle was originally assigned to the Police Department in 2013 and transferred to Beach Operations in May of 2022. It has come to the end of its useful life with the town. We appreciate its service to the town. I will take a motion unless there are any questions from the public.
Lasted more than 2 years in the beach. So
Yeah.
Pretty good. I move to declare as surplus the following: a 2013 Ford excuse me, let me try that again. 2013 Ford F-150 pickup, VIN number 1FTFX1EF1DFB92203, in order to allow this item to be disposed of, sold, auctioned, or donated, all in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, and the town's rules and regulations, with the proceeds to go to the general fund.
Second. I'm sorry.
We still haven't got that sorted, Cindy.
No, we'll talk about it after.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
Unanimous, yep.
Now we're on to the committee appointments, I believe. Yes, we have some committee appointments and one resignation, but we'll just start with the appointments for now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I move that the Duxbury Selectboard appoint or reappoint the following people to the following boards for the following terms. Audit Committee, Al Hoban is the Finance Committee representative, and Friend S. Wheeler Sr. as the Finance Committee representative for terms ending June 30, 2025. King Caesar Advisory Committee, Chris Coakley, for a term ending June 30, 2027.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have one resignation, Emily Zoltowski from the, doesn't say from what.
Which
That from
committee did she
King's-
resign from?
Is that from King Caesar, Nancy?
But-
Oh, yeah, we saw, it's in the blue.
Oh, really?
Folder.
Well, we thank
Oh, in the folder, I'm sorry.
Ms. Solotowski for her
Yes.
service
We'll go
to the
back, I
community. Let me just find it here. She served as a member of the Municipal Commission on Disabilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The following boards and committees have the following seats. The following have one seat each. Alternative Energy Committee, Coastal Resiliency, Community Preservation Committee, Duxbury Cultural Council, Economic Advisory Committee, Finance Committee, Fiscal Advisory Committee, Historical Commission, King Caesar Advisory Committee, Municipal Commission on Disability, the Nuclear Advisory Committee. The following committee has two seats, Coastal Resiliency Task Force. If anyone is interested in volunteering on a board or committee, you are encouraged to fill out a talent bank form, which can be found on the town's website under the Forms and Documents tab.
Thank you very much, Brian. Now we have a one-day liquor license request for the beach ball. I don't see anyone from that, so I will, if you'd like to read it, you may.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move that Ms. Chris Latazzi, Executive Director, and as representative of the Duxbury Beach Reservation, Inc., is granted a one-day all-alcoholic license to hold the DBR Beach Ball 2024 on Saturday, September 7th, 2024, at the Caterers Parking Lot, Duxbury Beach Park, from 6:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., contingent upon the conditions of the license.
Second.
Any discussion? I know, Brian, you always take a look at these and the liability insurance. I know they serve food at these, and there's never been any issues.
Yeah.
It's come up every year.
I have one question. What's the caterer's parking lot?
That's just what they call it. It's down by Blakeney's.
Oh, down there, oh.
Is it the one across from the regular parking lot? I know that they use that area sometimes.
I think it's the dirt spot.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. All right.
It's just what they would always refer to it.
Really, I didn't know that. Things to learn.
Goes
I'm
along
sorry.
swimmingly every year, so no pun intended.
There you go. Go for Sharks.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Minutes.
minutes. Let me pull this up, mixing things up.
Do the 8th and the 15th together, so that they can vote on those.
Okay.
Oh, yes. We actually cannot, oh, yeah, we have enough to do all of them. All right, can we have a motion?
Yes, I will do both of them together. I'll move to approve the July 8th and July 15th, 2024 Select Board open session minutes as presented.
Why can't we do the 22nd?
We're going to do it separately.
Fernando can't do.
I get it.
Any
Second.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I move to approve the July 22nd, 2024 Select Board open session minutes as presented. May I ask
Second.
Cornetto to abstain?
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
All right.
Okay, good job.
Yeah, I like abstaining.
We have some announcements.
We do have some
And
announcements.
it's a singular.
Yes, announcements. There are two of them. Number one, Water Department road detour notice. St. George Street will be detoured between Tremont Street and Railroad Avenue starting on Tuesday, August 6th, in order for the Water Department to replace water services. This work is expected to last 1 to 2 weeks during the hours of 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Number two, the next scheduled Select Board meeting will be on Monday, August 19th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. in the Mural Room.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is happening to all of those businesses during that time period that the roads close? Is there a plan for anything?
Well, they did put the electronic signs out there to give people advance notice. So I'm assuming you just can't go down that stretch of St. George Street from Railroad to the lights. So
But,
you can go
but you
around.
you can still
Then
access,
detour and around.
detour around up Railroad Avenue back up to George Street,
Yeah.
right?
But I'm talking about the businesses, though. There's no parking down there. I mean, there's a little bit off of Railroad Ave, but,
Yeah,
you know,
I would like to, I second that concern, especially because of the time of year,
Yeah.
and especially because those businesses rely upon a lot of that beach traffic, and benefited a lot from the early beach season this year, which is nice. But maybe we can, before, well, it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
I can get more information from Mark and let you know.
Yeah, I know it's short notice here, but it would have been,
just seems like there's no place,
Yeah.
for, you know.
They've had a signboard out there, I know that, so we're trying.
Yes.
were these businesses notified about, do we know anything about that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Putting you on the hot seat, Nancy.
I know, Nance,
That's okay.
I wouldn't have,
Do you want to just share that for the folks at home? Because I
Yeah.
know from experience, you can't hear unless somebody's
yes.
on the mic.
We asked Nancy O'Connor just whether the business owners had notice of this detouring. We don't know. We're going to try to get some more information on this, albeit supposedly starting tomorrow, that this work is expected.
Yeah.
But my understanding is I think that water main repair work is associated with that new development. And so what I'm hoping is that they'll be able to come up and access the businesses. The road won't be closed all the way down through to the bottom of Railroad, right? So they'll be able to come up Railroad and park and access the businesses. I think that's my understanding. But I could be wrong, but that's yeah.
Let's
That's right.
hope.
So it's not closed all the way from
No,
the railroad?
no, I think it's
just
to
you
do
can't-
with that new development. Subdivision.
Okay.
But
Well,
anyway,
that would be
that's
good. All right.
hopefully the case, but
Hopefully
find
we
out
can
more.
keep traffic passing through there.
yes.
Yeah.
All right, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, aye, aye.